This has taken me a lot longer than I'd planned. It's been 9 days since I started working on this thing, and I told Twain I'd only need a week, so I'm already 2 days behind schedule. But I can safely say that I'm almost done here. There's just a few more blocks that need to be finished before the repairs on this vessel are complete. The new hangar is almost done. I just need to finish working on those last few blast doors and the floor. Those last few remaining armour blocks on the outer hull, along with that rocket turret there, won't take me too long at all. Just a couple more hours, I'd say. Which is good, because I've been hanging around out here long enough. I've only seen one more ship pass by since that ACI frigate over a week ago, and it was a Martian Navy frigate this time. Luckily, it just stayed in one place for about 5 minutes before it jumped away again. I've taken apart all the other wrecks now, so I'm worried that if anyone else appears now, they'll know something is up. Being discovered is just one of my concerns at the moment. The other is heat management. It seems that during the war, this ship lost its retractable heat radiators, so I've periodically had to shut everything down until it cools again. It does have emergency cooling, which uses water and ejects the steam out each side of the ship, but it's only a temporary solution and it won't be enough for the voyage to 82 Eridani. No, I feel I'm going to need some kind of long-term solution for this problem. Here's the thing. I've just turned on all the reactors and they're only outputting the power needed to run just life support and the internal lighting. Ben, based on your analysis and taking into account our current supply of ice, how long do we have before the temperature reaches critical levels on this vessel?
Commander, based on current levels, I estimate that the current rise in heat levels will cause critical system meltdown in 15 minutes and 27 seconds.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, that's the issue. This ship just doesn't really have the ability to dissipate the amount of heat it's generating. And the scary thing is, the reactors are only running at a fraction of their maximum output. I mean, look at that. The large reactor is only generating about 60 kilowatts of energy, and the small ones are only generating about 3 each. That's actually less than 1% of their overall output. As soon as I activate the refineries and assemblers, the amount of waste heat skyrockets, and that's even before I've brought the engines and weapon systems online. Even with a full cargo of ice on board, I can't expect it to last more than 10 minutes before things overheat. Which reminds me, I better turn the reactors off now so that things get the chance to cool down again. What this ship needs is some new heat radiators. Sadly, I don't have the schematics for the original retractable ones, but I can build some new permanent ones that are a lot more efficient. Now, the best place to build them is probably at the back. Up front, they're too close to the turrets, so yeah, the back's definitely the best shout. Well, let's do this. Almost done, just a few more blocks to go and that should be the second heat radiator complete. Perfect. There, let's take a look at it. Excellent, and based on Ben's calculations, those radiators should now be big enough to dissipate all the waste heat that this ship can generate. The only downside, however, is that as soon as I turn the power back on, those radiators are going to give off enough heat that they'll be spotted as far away as bloody Pluto. But hey, at least my ship won't melt anymore. Okay Benson, that's the reactors back online. Given our current levels, how is our heat management looking now?
Commander, based on my analyses, the heat radiators should be able to effectively manage the waste heat levels generated up to 80% of this vessel's overall reactor capacity.
Ah, excellent Benson, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. What I'll have to bear in mind is that they are a little bit flimsy. Despite the armour protection, they can get quite badly damaged during combat. They are mounted on rotors though, so at a stretch I can try to angle them so they're edge on to any incoming fire, but that could be easier said than done. Well, now that the ship's been fully rebuilt and our heat management problems are more or less resolved, it's time I went out and mined enough uranium and ice needed for the long voyage to 82G Eridani. It's over 19 light years away, Ben, so we've got a long trip ahead of us.
Agreed, Commander. I estimate that we would require enough uranium for at least 35 days of continuous power in order to reach 82G Eridani.
Yeah, and that means we need over 200 kilograms of the stuff. I'd better get to work. I found this source of uranium here some time ago and I've been chipping away at it ever since. There's still plenty left here, so I should be able to collect more than enough for the journey ahead of us. That will do for the moment. Time to head back. Ah, there's my transport VTOL. I powered it down shortly after I began working on the Roanoke and moved it closer to the asteroid so that it's less likely to be detected. I'll need to dock it inside the cruiser before we leave, as the larger ship just isn't atmosphere capable, so I'll still need a smaller one to shuttle me to and from the surface of Terra Nova. What I will do is use the cruiser to break out of that zone that's protected by those defense platforms first. There's no sense in exposing the VTOL to any more gunfire at this point. Anyway, that's for later. Let's get this uranium back to the ship. Okay, Benson, I'm on my way back with the last of the ice we'll need, so I think it's safe for us to come out of low power mode, and once I'm back on board, I'll begin the process of starting up all the ship's main systems.
Acknowledged, Commander.
There we are. Providing I don't go overboard with the hydrogen thrusters, that should be enough ice to last us for a while. Right, time to get these lights back on, then power up the artificial gravity generator. Okay, I guess it's time to gain weight again. Ah, that's better. I've only set it at 0.25 Earth Gs at the moment, as I've been on Mars for months and then out here in deep space for the last 9 days, so I'll need time to get used to gravity again. Plus, at a setting this low, it'll save power. Ah, speaking of saving power, I just realised that I need to turn these air vents back on, otherwise the hangar bay won't repressurise after I close the blast doors. Looking good so far. Are the outside lights working? Yep, they are. That's fine. Better get back in. There's actually a siren going off right now, but I can't hear it because there's no atmosphere. And I'm not touching a solid surface. There we are. The hangar bay is now pressurised and it should be safe for me to lift my visor. Excellent. The refineries are still running at full pelt to process all that uranium, but they should almost be done now. I've kept the original crew's cryopods just in case I encounter any survivors on this assignment, but thanks to your improvements, Ben, this ship is now so heavily automated that it only really needs one crewman, and that's me, the pilot.
You're welcome, Commander.
Well, I guess that answers the question about whether or not the PA system is working. I'm going to make a quick stop by the medical room upstairs and refill my oxygen and hydrogen tanks before we leave. It's not 100% vital, but it's just a habit I've gotten into. It's really just in case anything goes wrong during the journey and I need to perform a quick EVA. There, that'll do. Right, time for me to head up to the cockpit /CIC and get the rest of the systems online. That's one of the most noticeable things with these dedicated warships. There's a lot of doors and smaller airlocks to ensure that in the event that one section is breached, the others remain pressurized. The first thing I need to do is to switch on these lights. There we go, that's better. And now for the computer screens. Perfect. Yep, everything looks good so far. All the systems appear to be in the green, and it doesn't look like I've missed anything whilst I was doing the repairs and modifying the ship earlier. Ah, good. The external sensors are working too. They've picked up all the nearby defense platforms and they're displayed on that screen up there in 3D, along with the asteroid as well. Yeah, it is looking a little cluttered out there, but that's okay. I'll be freeing up some space soon enough. In fact, what I need to do is figure out which of those gun platforms I need to get rid of in order to safely fly out of this place. Destroying all of them would just be an unnecessary waste of time and ammo. Those two look like promising targets. Let's see what else is around me. There's actually less of them behind me, but that would mean trying to turn this vessel all the way around. On second thoughts, that wouldn't be very practical. My best course of action is to neutralize the two ahead of me and just fly around the asteroid to my left. What are your thoughts, Benson?
Apologies, Commander. I am not programmed to give advice on military operations. However, the method you have suggested would be more time efficient and avoid the risks associated with turning a large vessel in such a hazardous location.
Well, that's good enough for me. Thanks, Ben. Right, that's all the gyros online, so at least I can turn this thing now. I'm still trying to get used to where everything is. That's the nav lights on. That'll certainly help when it comes to docking the VTOL with this thing. Well, at the very least, having flashing lights means I can't use the excuse that I didn't see it if I end up flying into the side of the cruiser. Anyway, I guess it's finally time to power up the main engines. Main thrusters online. And advertise my presence to everyone in the solar system. Right, now which one of these defense platforms is going to be my first unfortunate victim? Ah, you'll do. I think I'll pick them off one at a time using the guided missiles, so I'll select the target painter and highlight this as the target. There we are. Now, if I remember correctly, if I pull the trigger, it actually fires a salvo of 4 missiles. I don't want to do that in this instance, that would just be overkill. Just 1 missile should suffice, so I'll try and set it up on the ship's toolbar here to just fire a single missile from one of the tubes and not all 4 at once. Missiles armed. Okay, here goes. Missile away. Looking good. Impact! Excellent. That's 1 down. Time to take care of that other one now. Missile away! Time to say goodbye, Gatling platform numerous duo. Target neutralized. Nice one. With those 2 defense platforms out of the way, there'll now be a space large enough for this cruiser to fly through without being fired upon. But I'll turn the ship's Gatling turrets on anyway, just to make sure that if any of the other platforms get within range, they'll get shot to pieces first. And it sounds like they're firing already, but that's no surprise. That Gatling platform behind me was within range, plus they'll more than likely be targeting the debris from the 2 I've already destroyed. Yep, that's exactly what it looks like they're doing. Oh well, at least I know they're working. start turning now. Well, if the Martian Navy didn't know I was here before, then there's a bloody good chance they do now, which means I'll need to work fast with bringing that VTOL on board. Benson, are you detecting any other vessels in the vicinity other than our own and the defense platforms?
Negative, Commander. I am not detecting any new vessels in our immediate vicinity.
Copy that, Ben. Those Gatling platforms were more than likely set to trigger an alarm when attacked, so I'm pretty sure we can expect company any minute now. Alert me the moment you detect any other vessels on those external sensors.
Acknowledged.
Most of the defense platforms are behind us now, so I think it's just wreckage that the turrets are shooting at. Anyway, we should be clear now, so I'll just bring the cruiser to a halt. There we go, that should do us. The transport VTOL I have is an Olympus 217, or rather it's a US-7D Wyvern to use its military designation, and according to the schematics for this heavy cruiser, I should be able to comfortably fit one of those in the hangar bay. Alternatively, this cruiser can carry 2 starfighters or 3 unmanned attack drones, so at least I've got the option to carry those later on if needed. Visor down. The sun's on the other side of the asteroid now, so the challenge is actually finding the damn VTOL first. There it is. That wasn't so hard. Now, let's get some lights on so I can see what I'm doing. Actually, I can lift my visor again. This cockpit is pressurized. Okay, I'll just remotely open the bay doors by... now, yeah, it helps when I actually have my antenna switched on, doesn't it? But that's okay, I'll just slow down a bit, and I'll do that now. There, that's better. Right, cycle hangar doors. Excellent. I do like those hangar bay warning lights though. They're really useful when it comes to lining yourself up. Oh yeah, plenty of space. In fact, I think this hangar bay is bigger than the one I had at Red Mountain Base. Okay, now it's time to close the hangar bay again and pressurize it. I still think that's pretty damn cool. Nice one. This thing fits perfectly. It's almost as if...
Warning, Commander Robertson. I have just detected 2 thermal signatures, matching those created by the use of jump drives, 4.2 kilometers away, bearing 2615008.
Damn it, that's what I was afraid of. Acknowledged, Benson. I'm already on the way back to the CIC now. That's not bad. That only took them, what, about 6 minutes? Which suggests they must have been relatively close by to begin with. That bearing and range puts them on the other side of the asteroid, but it won't take them long to reach us. Right, let's see if I can find them. Oh, that should be easy enough. It looks like they've both got their beacons on. They're just to the left of me. And I can see one of them on the sensor display already. No sign of the other one though. I've just got a visual on the first vessel. It looks like a Martian Provisional Navy ship, a Perseus-class corvette named the Lazarus. The other one looks like it's still behind the asteroid. Ah, it looks like we've been spotted. He's turning towards us. The other vessel is just coming into view now. Confirmed. It's a Centaur-class destroyer named the Karaticus. I'm not really familiar with that type of vessel, so I...
Mass Navy destroyer Karaticus to the unidentified ship in orbit around Apophis. You are in violation of Martian law. Cut your power and prepare to be boarded.
Ah, an Aussie with a Martian accent. Yeah, sorry, Crocodile Hunter, I don't think so. I'm not even going to respond to them. Let's just get the hell out of here. They're both a lot smaller, but they could still do a lot of damage to the ship, so I'd rather not fight them. Okay, Benson, prepare to jump to the edge of the Sol system. Waypoint Alpha.
Affirmative. Jump drive ready.
Engaging jump drive. Damn it, that corvette's caught up and we're exchanging fire. Well, you're too late, buddy. We're out of here. That corvette got a little too close for comfort that time. It doesn't look like we took much damage from that encounter, but just to be on the safe side, can you give me a damage report, please, Benson?
Yes, Commander. Gatling turret number 9 appears to have taken light damage, but is still fully functional. Several heavy armor blocks on the rear of the vessel appear to have sustained light damage, but their overall integrity is still about 90%. I have no other damage to report.
That's great. Thanks, Ben. Well, that could have been a lot worse. Most of that can just be left for the moment and I'll repair it later on at some point. Right now I need to make sure everything is set so we can begin the journey to 82G Eridani. I can't help but notice that the Gatling turrets are showing up as yellow on the display, despite not being damaged. I'm guessing that's just a warning to let me know that they've been firing. If all goes well, they won't fire again for quite some time as we'll be jumping again soon, but I'm taking a quick look on the sensor display anyway to make sure it's all clear, as we can expect to get some company again anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes from now, depending of course on how far away the nearest Martian or corporate listening post or task force is, but I'm hoping we'll be long gone before that happens. Okay, Benson, please input the course that will take us to the 82G Eridani system into the jump drive's computer and prepare to execute the autopilot on my mark. I've added a few random waypoints to make us zigzag a little on the way out, just to confuse anyone that might be tracking us.
Affirmative, Commander. Course entered. Autopilot is ready to be engaged on your command.
Thanks, Ben. I'll begin closing everything down up here and make my way to the cryopod. There we go. I won't bother with a status report as we did a quick check before we left. I'll wait until we arrive in 82G Eridani before we do that. That reminds me, Ben, how long until we arrive at our destination?
Commander, our current estimated time until arrival in the 82G Eridani star system is approximately 648 hours.
648 hours. You mean just over 27 days, Benson?
Yes, Commander.
Now you see, that makes it sound better. 648 hours just sounds inordinately long. I am impressed that it's only going to take us just under a month to travel over 19 light years. It took us and the Volundar's Anvil a lot longer to get from Tau Ceti to the Sol system, and that was only 12 light years. Which I suppose is testament to just how much more powerful and efficient the jump drive and reactors are on this particular vessel. Okay Ben, I'm going into cryostasis now, so please initiate the autopilot that will take us on the journey to 82G Eridani. Revive me once we arrive, and I'll see you again once we get there.
Acknowledged, Commander. Autopilot engaged.
Sleep well. I look forward to seeing you again once we reach our destination.
Roger that. Later, Ben. That was quick. We there already?
Welcome back, Commander. Your vital signs are stable, and you're showing no ill effects from your time in cryostasis.
Thanks, Ben. Apart from a dry throat, I actually feel okay. Oh no, don't tell me I'm starting to get used to those damn things.
While it is probable, Commander, it is more likely that the lack of any severe side effect is due to the relatively short time spent in cryostasis.
Ha, that could indeed be true, Ben. So, what's our status?
Commander, we have arrived at the outer region of the 82G Eridani star system, approximately 46 astronomical units away from the planet known as Terra Nova. I am pleased to report that all systems are functioning at optimal levels, and no damage was received during the transit between the star system and 82G Eridani.
Thanks, Benson. That's good to hear. I'll just get everything switched on, and I'll take a look and see what we've got. The main reactor looks alright, and small reactors 1 through 4 all look fine, and we've got another 18 days of fuel left if the ship sits idle, so we should be okay for the next few weeks. All the systems are looking good. Benson, can you show me a planetary layout map for 82G Eridani, the 2D one, not the movable 3D display, please?
Yes, Commander.
There we are. Right, we've got 2 large barren rocky planets closest to the star, both of which are over 2 times the size of Earth. The next one is a super-Earth that's about as habitable as the first 2 and twice the size of them. Then we've got Terra Nova and its moon. It's the only habitable planet in this entire system. Next we've got Hades, which is a Mars-like planet with an atmosphere too thin to support anything resembling intelligent life. Then it's a gas giant that's bigger than Saturn but smaller than Jupiter with a series of moons. That cold, barren, airless planetoid sitting near the edge of the star system is of little interest, as it lacks any kind of decent minerals and is too far away from the star to be a useful colony location. I've noticed that there's no orbital depots or space stations here. Yeah, there used to be a large Ross 4 space station orbiting Terra Nova's moon, but it was destroyed during the ITW Ross 4 war a few years back, and the wreckage was salvaged to help build the new colony on Terra Nova. Saying that, there is a small Colonial Defence Force outpost on the surface of Hades near to where the old Ross 4 headquarters used to be, but since I'm still technically a fugitive in the eyes of the Martian government, I don't think it would be a good idea to get too close, as there might be someone home that could potentially recognise me, and I'd rather not risk another confrontation at this stage, as that could potentially jeopardise my overall mission here. What I'm more concerned about, however, is that the Terran Colonial Authority have a task force in the system that is supposedly hunting pirates and enforcing a blockade of the quarantined world of Terra Nova, which is going to make visiting that planet to conduct my investigation a little more interesting. In fact, I'm surprised we've not been approached or hailed by any TCA vessels so far, as they should have spotted our last few jumps into the system. I'm not seeing anything on the short-range sensors. Ben, are you picking up any vessels operating in the system on your long-range scanners?
Affirmative, Commander. I am detecting between a positive and 2 possible thermal signatures that match the profile of space vessels, but the majority of them appear to be concentrated on the opposite side of the asteroid belt, located between Hades and the gas giant Juno.
That's interesting. Most of them are all gathered in one place. That almost sounds like there's a battle going on. But that's not my problem. I've got a job to do, and if anyone that could potentially interfere with that is currently busy elsewhere, then that's fine by me. Benson, add a waypoint into the jump drive's computer that will take us within sensor range of Terra Nova. We'll jump as soon as the drive has recharged.
Acknowledged, Commander. The jump drive is fully recharged, and the waypoint for Terra Nova has been added to the jump drive's navigational computer.
Copy that, Ben. Engaging jump drive. Now let's see if we can find this planet. Ah, and there it is! Whoa, would you look at that? In fact, I'll turn the ship so that the planet is directly in front of us. I can't believe how similar it looks to how Earth did. Except this world is covered in a lot less water. You can see, by just looking at it, that it's a lot more arid. It is beautiful though. After being on Mars and then stuck in space for so long, it's good to see some blue and green again. The sad thing is, when I returned to Earth in the Volundar's Anvil, I was hoping to see something like this. Not the ruined, volcanic, irradiated hellhole that I came back to. Anyway, I don't have time to get sentimental. I've got work to do. Benson, have you picked up anything in the vicinity of Terra Nova on our long-range sensors yet?
Yes, Commander. I have detected 4 small short-range communications satellites in orbit. There are also multiple fast-moving objects in low orbit, but those would be consistent with the debris left over from the battle that occurred here 2 years ago.
That would make sense. They probably only salvaged the largest and slowest moving pieces.
I have, however, also detected a large, fast-moving, symmetrical object that appears to be in an elliptical orbit around Terra Nova.
Yeah, copy that, Ben. I can see its coordinates in the nav computer. I'm going to point the ship at it so that the larger cameras in the front can take a look at it. It's a very faint thermal signature, most likely caused by reflected sunlight. Can you put it on screen for me, please, Benson?
Affirmative.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a spaceship. You can clearly see the thrusters at the top and the curved front at the bottom. Plus, there's no debris I've ever seen that looks as intact and symmetrical as that. Ben, run an analysis on that ship's profile against the vessels in our known database and let me know if you find a match.
Yes, Commander. Comparing profile against known ship types. Match found. Commander, the profile is a 98.4% match to that of the Core Worm Mark III.
Ah, indeed it is. Excellent work, Ben. Now this is very interesting because according to Twain's report, the ship used by the Sole Cooperative Investigation Team was a Corwar Mark III. In fact, the Sole Cooperative are the only ones that use that variant. Everyone else apparently still uses the Mark II. So there's a very good chance that this is indeed their ship. But what the hell are they doing out here? Shouldn't they have returned home or at least stayed on the planet if it was quarantined? Their ship is obviously unpowered. Maybe they're all in cryostasis. Well, I can't just leave them out here. We need to investigate, as there's a very good chance they may require our assistance. The ship is too close and moving too fast to use the jump drive, so I'm going to try and intercept it using just the ion engines. It should take us just under 2 hours to get within visual range. We haven't encountered any hostile vessels yet, so here's hoping our streak of good luck continues. We should be close enough to see it now. Yeah, there it is. It's still a little too far to make out its colours yet, but even from here it certainly appears as though it could be a Sole Cooperative vessel. Maybe once we get closer that dark grey colour may indeed turn out to be blue. We are slowly closing in on it, but once we get closer I'll try and match our velocity. Docking with the ship may be risky, so what I'll do instead is match our relative speeds and go across in person. I'll have to be careful though, Ben, as unlike this vessel, my spacesuit doesn't have the ability to match the relative velocity of the nearest object, as I found out while trying to survey the damage to my VTOL last time.
Commander, if I may, your spacesuit does have the ability to be upgraded with a module that will allow it to match velocities with a nearby object. Would you like me to install it for you?
What? Wait a second, since when was this a thing? Has this new suit been capable of that all this damn time?
Negative, Commander. It appears as though that particular module was omitted by default, as it was not considered necessary for the suit's original role.
Yeah, a prison guard doesn't get the chance to spacewalk much, does he? Okay, Benson, please install the upgrade. This will make things so much easier for me now.
Installing module. Installation complete.
Hooray! Thanks again, Ben. I knew you'd come in useful out here.
You're welcome, Commander.
Anyway, that ship is getting closer now, and it definitely looks like it's in the Sol Cooperative colours. What are your thoughts, Ben?
Commander, upon further analyses, and based on the data available, there is a 90.2% probability that the vessel in front of us is the Sol Cooperative research vessel Annabelle.
Yep, that's what I thought, which means that at least some of the Sol Cooperative investigators managed to make it off Terra Nova. But why the hell are they just floating around out here? I guess we'll find out in a few minutes. I just need to bring this thing slightly more closer to the Annabelle and match velocities with it. At the same time, I also need to make sure I don't get too close and scrape it against my own vessel, or worse still, damage the radiators. Gently does it. We're almost there. Right, that should do us. I don't want to risk getting any closer than that. Just out of curiosity, what's the status of the Annabelle, Benson? Has it taken any damage?
Negative, Commander. The Annabelle does not appear to be displaying any signs of external damage, but I am not reading any emissions from the ship's reactors or batteries.
So it's drifting dead in space. That's not good. Either the vessel has been deliberately powered down, or it's run out of fuel, in which case the crew may be... I'll need to see for myself. Okay, here goes. Benson's right. The Annabelle doesn't appear to have suffered any damage at all, but it's definitely out of power, so I'll grab some uranium from my own ship. If I'm correct, then the Corwar Mark IIIs should have a backup reactor somewhere inside. Now, does the airlock have its own auxiliary power unit, or will I have to cut my way in? It doesn't look like it, but at least I can use my own wrist computer to access this ship's systems. Ah, Tier 3 tools. And definitely no power. Well, that figures. Time to use the grinder and do this the hard way. Ah, no atmosphere came rushing out, which means there's no air inside. That's not good. Okay, let's see what we've got. Well, that's strange. Both cryopods are empty, and there doesn't appear to be anyone else around. Was this thing launched on autopilot? Anyway, I'll just add the uranium to this backup reactor and get the power back online. Whoa! What the hell? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. That's a skeleton. Why is there a skeleton here, Benson? This place was a vacuum, and even if it wasn't, there's no way someone could decay like that so fast.
I am sorry, Commander. I am unable to explain the reason for the accelerated decomposition of the body in front of you. Further analyses would be required.
Yeah, no shit. There's a PD-8 there, feet, but the page it's at appears to be blank. His name tag... her name tag reads Jane Bartkowiak, Science Officer, Sol Cooperative. Poor girl. Whoever she was, she didn't deserve to end up like that. Okay, I'm at the ship's command console and I'm turning the power on now. Maybe we can finally get some answers as to what the hell's going on. Or not. The ship's logs are empty and all the LCDs have been wiped and turned offline. What's worse is that it appears as though the jump drive and life support have been deliberately disabled and security locked by the leader of the investigation team. It looks like he didn't want anyone to leave, but why? Well, I guess that explains this poor girl's cause of death. Her oxygen tank's empty. She's suffocated. But that still doesn't explain as to why all her flesh seems to have been stripped from her bones. No, something strange is going on here, and I don't like this one bit. Benson, I'm breaking formation and bringing the Annabelle into a more stable orbit around Terra Nova. Take control of the cruiser and try to stick with me as best you can.
Acknowledged, Commander. Activating autopilot and attempting to maintain formation.
Thanks, Ben. Once we're done, I'll begin unloading anything that's useful from the Annabelle into the cruiser and place that body into cold storage. That's a gruesome task that I am certainly not looking forward to. Right, that's the Tier 3 tools, platinum and a few other supplies moved across. All that's left to do now is to take the flight recorder from the Annabelle's control console and power it down. The body has been moved to cold storage and Ben is conducting an analysis on a bone sample I took to see what he can find. Hopefully Twain and her family can give her a proper burial once we get back to Mars. Okay, that's the flight recorder removed, shutting down. There, time for me to return to the cruiser and continue with my mission. The Annabelle is sitting in a stable orbit now, so it should be easier for the Soul Cooperative to collect it later on at some point. Well, this is certainly an interesting start to my investigation. While I'm no stranger to seeing a dead body, I've never seen one quite like that before. I mean, a corpse floating around in a vacuum is usually remarkably well preserved, while one in an atmosphere usually decomposes horribly. A perfect skeleton like that just doesn't happen naturally. Hopefully once Ben's finished his analysis he can tell us what happened. Though I strongly suspect that the real answers I'm looking for lie on that planet's surface. Which reminds me, speaking of the planet's surface, I need to do some work on that VTOL. As well as fixing it up and repainting it, it needs some weaponry, as I have no idea what to expect on Terra Nova and would like to be able to defend myself if needed. Ben, you mentioned a military designation for the Olympus 217. I don't suppose that included an armed variant as well, did it?
Yes, Commander. The MS-7 Whitebird assault transport is armed with both 200mm rocket launchers and 25mm Gatling guns.
Nice. I guess that's what I'll be working on later today. But first, I'd better make a start on my report for Mr. Twain and use the Hyperpulse comm system to let him know we've arrived and of our grim discovery thus far. I also need to give this vessel a proper name. In all this excitement, I'd kind of forgotten. But one thing that bothers me is that even though that world ahead of us may indeed appear to be beautiful, I fear it harbours a dark and deadly secret. Benson, it's time for us to prepare.
Agreed, Commander.